All right, getting into the Sunday 3-game slate, starting with the preview, we can see the first game on the slate is going to be Miami versus the Buffalo Bills, a game that is projected to be a blowout. Okay, that is going to be due to Tua Tagovailoa being out and Skylar Thompson having to start. I would say we agree with that, but because of that and some injury situations, we might get some players lower owned that are also decent plays. So that's an interesting game DFS wise. Obviously NFL wise, probably not going to be. Looking at the Giants versus the Vikings, everyone's favorite bet to win. I think like the 6 seed is like 6-1, or 16 winning is like 6-1 over the last 7 years or something. I saw some weird stat like that. So a lot of people's favorite 6 seed bet to win are the Giants. So interesting there. And then continuing on, we have Baltimore versus Cincy, another game that's projected to be a blowout due to a backup quarterback. Now we know Tyler Huntley is okay. So, maybe that game has some DFS plays for it. Getting into the quarterbacks now, it really does sort of feel like it's Josh Allen or bust, just going against the Miami Dolphins, a team that he went against earlier on this season, had 39 points in one of the games and 30 points in the other. So we know this defense is pretty poor, and we know that this is a spot in which we do want to be attacking Josh Allen at. So it does feel like we just kind of need to play him, especially given the fact that he just went for 20 plus DK points against the Patriots defense in a must-win game for the Patriots. He was able to do well against them as well. So it does feel like we just need to try to figure out a way to pay for Josh Allen. But I'll tell you what, it is a little bit more difficult to do that. Now, if you are not paying up for Josh Allen, people might try to play Joe Burrow. And I don't hate that idea, but we have seen Joe Burrow have some of his worst games against Baltimore. 12.6 DK points last week, and then 18 DK points in week 5. We're probably going to need at least 20 from him. I don't think he's going to score more than Josh Allen, but to make up for the price difference, we probably need at least 20 from him. So I think I would want to look elsewhere and maybe take a risk with a player like Cousins or Daniel Jones. I think everyone's probably going to have at least a couple of stacks with Daniel Jones, kind of just given his rushing upside and what he did against Minnesota earlier on this season, like 24 DK points against them. And then last week, or 2 weeks ago against Indy, 36 DK points, which Indy had been a really good defense up until that point. So I do think that Daniel Jones is going to be a highly intriguing play, especially GPP wise. The question is, do we play him or Allen in cash? And I think we just try to find a way to pay up for Josh Allen, but you'll see it's going to be difficult given the way that the slate is kind of breaking down. So the really the biggest difference maker, I think, on this slate is going to be the running back position. Quite clearly, you would want to be able to afford Saquon Barkley into your builds. If you could, you want to play him. 27 DK points against Minnesota the last time out. That would make sense. And so we'll try that. We'll try one with Josh Allen, Barkley. It's not going to work is my point. Dalvin Cook, could he finally have a big game? Maybe. I mean, he is a touchdown dependent play. If the touchdowns finally come his way, could really go off. Joe Mixon, I'm going to stay away from, but he has finally kind of turned up the last 2 weeks. J.K. Dobbins seems like a very low owned GPP play, just chasing upside. Devin Singletary was outsnapped by James Cook last week, and it's like, is that because of that game not mattering full picture wise for them? Maybe, but James Cook did play more snaps, and so that is kind of intriguing to me. We have seen James Cook slowly but surely become a thing in this offense, and we can see over the past 5 starts, he has had 5 games of over double-digit DK points. Okay, last week saw 11 opportunities. The week before that, 13 opportunities. The week before that, 8. Okay, so we definitely need to be getting double-digit opportunities, rushing attempts, and targets, but we could potentially get that in a good game script. Like, this game could potentially be a blowout, which could lead to more snaps for James Cook. And if that does occur, he could be a good play. He could be a play that we don't want to pass up on given the price point, because there are better receiver plays. So for now, I've kind of talked myself into James Cook as a play. And then kind of the obvious play that everyone's going to go with, kind of regardless of the game being a blowout, is going to be Jeff Wilson Jr. Now, Jeff Wilson Jr. with Mostert out, okay, he should see 70 to, let's just say, 80% of the snap. Okay, that's the expectation because that's what we have seen prior. And so if we are going to get like the workhorse workload out of Jeff Wilson, that's going to be intriguing. Like, we should be getting around 10 DK points. If he breaks a big touchdown or big run, we could definitely get more than that. But given this price tag, 5.4 is a cheap price tag for a guy that's going to be a lead back this week. So what I really want to do on the slate is I just want to pay up for the studs. Okay, Diggs is going against Miami, which it should be a good matchup for him. Last time out had 9 targets and only 10.7 DK points. Okay, that was not good. And heck, the first time out against them, 14.4 DK points. So that's the worry. The good thing is that he went for 26 against New England last week. So like the upside is definitely there for him to go for 20, maybe even 30 DK points. And I'm somewhat expecting it this week. It just seems like it should happen. Now, he'd be the one of the receivers that if you need to fade one of them in favor of someone else, you could go that route. So I like him. I'm going to plug him in there, especially if I'm using Josh Allen. But I do think we want to try to play Justin Jefferson. Sure, he got shut down by Alexander with the Packers, but looked really good last week again. Like the worry was that there was some weird mental stuff going on. That was the worry. And then he looked good against Chicago. Okay. Obviously the Vikings didn't play their starters the full game, not even the full half. So he is someone that I think is going to bounce back fine. Last game against the Giants, 16 targets, 34 DK points. Okay. And he had just really been a stud for the most part this season. So I'm not too worried about it. I do think we want to try to pay up for him, but the number one receiver play this week, I think is going to be Jamar Chase. Just tough not to love him. Basically not leaving the field. And if we could be locking in someone getting 15, 13, 12, 13 targets over the last 4 weeks, that is something I would do every single week. Okay. And if you were watching last week's game, Joe Burrow missed Chase he underthrew him on what could have been another touchdown. And then earlier this season had 12 targets against Baltimore and still had 12 DK points. So we should be getting a nice safe floor here with the upside. That's really kind of seems like it's going to be uncapped. And then just some other receiver plays that we could easily roll with. And I'm going to probably roll out some Daniel Jones stack, maybe with Slayton. You know, he has kind of stepped up into that receiver number 1 role. We saw last game against the Vikings, 11.9 DK points, 6 targets. You know, that's pretty good. But I kind of like Hodgins a little bit more. Like he has been the player that we've rostered the most for Giants receivers, and he has been paying off. You know, 12 targets against the Vikings last time out, 22.9 DK points. I mean, that was a lot of fun that game. So he is someone that, you know, obviously been a lot more productive than he probably should be, given the fact that he's been scoring touchdowns. But at the same time, it is a cheap price tag and a great matchup. So that's a play I think we can certainly try and play. And then from there, looking at the tight ends, like I do think we want to just try to play TJ Hawkinson if we can. He's just been such a safe, reliable asset since he's joined. The Vikings, Kirk Cousins has just been targeting him so much. Look at that game against the Giants. He went off. 2 touchdowns, 16 targets, and 38 DK. Obviously, we can't really expect that, but I do think we can expect, 6 or so targets, probably at least 12 or so DK points. So TJ Hawkinson, not a bad play at that price tag, although at the same time, I don't mind the idea of stacking Dawson Knox with Josh Allen. Dawson Knox against Miami went for 21.8 and 6.5. Both kind of given the price tag, you would be fine with. Obviously, we want to see a little bit more consistency there, but we would take that there out of Dawson Knox. And then if we need to find value at the tight end position, Daniel Bellinger, I'm fine. I would say we really want to kind of prioritize tight end because there does seem to be a big difference there. So looking at the first look build for Sunday, obviously we cannot make this work. And this was part of what I was trying to say about trying to pay up for Saquon Barkley. It's going to be difficult to do. So we're going to go ahead and put Jeff Wilson back into the running back spot. And now we're set up pretty good, but at the same time, we're not going to have enough salary. So this is where you might not be able to play Josh Allen, even though it should be a lock. And this is where you have to decide Josh Allen, safety, most likely 30 DK points, or try to get lucky with Daniel Jones scoring 20 to 25 DK points at a much cheaper price tag. That's for you guys to decide. I can't really decide that for you. Defensively, I still think I might punt at defense. And then we have 4.5 left over for our flex. We're kind of forced into playing like Hodgins or someone in the flex then. So, there is logic behind this build. Daniel Jones kind of stacked with Bellinger and Hodgins, hoping that goes well. And obviously if we're playing them, we're kind of saying that Saquon's not going to have as good of a game. And then Jeff Wilson Jr. trying to get lucky. We're just trying to get lucky with the values. Hopefully, like the value running backs, hopefully they 2x. And then we're hoping that the receivers really go off. Okay. And I think they all have a great chance to. Like, I think there's a great chance that the receivers will combine for over 60 DK points. And obviously that would really help you, especially on a smaller 3-game slate. But that's all I have for you guys for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Give a like and subscribe. That helps me be able to put out more content for you guys. All right, let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.